We're back. What's up, gang? My name's CJ, and today's live stream, we're going to be switching it up. We're not looking at basketball. We're not talking about the orange. We're talking about that brown thing, that football. Talking some pigskin. It's NFL wildcard weekend, folks. Who would I be as a PrizePicks content creator if I didn't talk about NFL wildcard weekend? Oh, you thought we were just about the hoops, huh? You had me mixed up as one of those just about the hoops guys. No. I'm a 2 sport star. I might even be a 3, 4, 5 sport star. All right? We're more than just hoops around here. We're going to be looking at the NFL, man. We got a lot of games to talk about. 2 today, and then a number of other games tomorrow. And we've even got a Monday night NFL playoff game. You guys have been asking for it. Here it is. Run the likes up. I see you guys talking in the chat already, all right? Run the likes up. You know what to do. Run the likes up. Just try to get 100 likes, all right? I know it's a little different. It's not basketball. It's not our normal start time. We're talking NFL, though. You guys wanted this, so I showed up here on a Saturday afternoon to help you with some NFL player prop research, all right? King Chris, what's happening? Good morning. No, it's not. It's good afternoon, right? Good afternoon, King Chris. It's afternoon where I am. It's 1 p.m. here on the East Coast. Wiggy on a Saturday. Damn right, on a Saturday. Just for you and for the rest of you fine folks who want some NFL football prize picks action. If you don't play on PrizePicks yet, maybe this is your first time ever seeing or hearing about PrizePicks. Listen, it's real simple. You pick your favorite players and props. You choose the over. You choose the under. You choose how many people you want to put in your entry. 2, 3, 4, 5 picks. Up to you. You can win up to 15 times your money, folks. Use promo code Curry. You see it floating above my head here. There's also a link down in the description below. You'll get a 100% instant deposit match on your first deposit all the way up to 100 smackaroos. That's right, your first entry on PrizePicks, totally risk-free. It's on the house. Fly, Eagles, fly. If I haven't said it yet, fly, Eagles, fly. We're taking on the Buccaneers tomorrow. I'll be at the game. You see the Eagles hat. You know what it is. Bird gang in the house. Gang, gang. Lifelong Tampa Bay resident, by the way. I've lived here my whole life in Tampa. Very much a Buccaneers area that I'm in here. Never liked the Bucs, though, growing up. Never liked them. They always sucked. They were the Succaneers, all right? They were always the Succaneers. Then they go and get Tom Brady, make a couple of little moves, trades, signed a couple of star players, and then they think that they're back on top. Well, guess what, man? My Eagles are going to come into Tampa Bay looking to upset the Super Bowl champs. All right? Shout out to Stunner. Let's get it. JW, good to see you. Craig's up in here. What's up, Craig? Malcolm, let's go, baby. Let's go. We're going to go. Jimmy Green, nice to see you, my friend. Set, Blue 42, hut, hike. Delvin's in the building. Good to see you, Delvin. Killer Prop says, here we go, fellas. Let's get another one like last night, shall we? Absolutely. Matthew Z-Man's already dropping some picks and plays. Listen, I'm going to go through what looks like the best from my end, and then I'll turn things over to you guys. We'll take some of your picks and plays. We'll do some research together. Kind of like we do over on the NBA format, right? No different than that. Let's see who else we have in here. Young Hatfield 24. Burrow definitely a lock. You guys are liking the Burrow passing yards. Jimmy Green's liking some Travis Kelce. Taylor's up in the building. He's calling me the 4 out of 5 king. Yeah, I hit 4 out of 5s again yesterday, man. One day, these 5 of 5s are just going to start falling in my lap, and I'm not going to know what to do. I'm going to be rolling in the dough. I had a good night last night, though, in some NBA, so I can't be too mad at doubling my money. Timothy Hill says, Kittle over receptions and Mac over interceptions. All right. We'll get into those. Michael, happy Super Wild Card weekend. Yes. Same to you, Toby. What's happening? Zamir says, good morning. Thanks for the bonus video. You got it, brother. I'm here, live and in living color, trying to help you folks out. Everyday Fantasy's back in the building. Mario, good to see you. Spliff King, got them spliffs, brother? You got them spliffs? The king of the spliffs. Let's get this shmoney. I'm with you. Said, what's happening? Thanks for joining me, Said. Said's here like clockwork, man. Like everyday type stuff. Appreciate the support, Said. Thank you. ewicker864, Curry always comes through in the clutch. You know how we do. You know how we do. Killer says, let's hook CJ up with all these likes before he gets in here. Well, I'm here now. Run them likes up. Terrence, good to see you as well. Emmanuel's back up in the building. S-Dub, nice to see S-Dub up in here. Desmond, you're back. Love it. Desmond hooked me up with an edible arrangement. Appreciate you, Desmond. I got to buy that edible arrangement, my man. I need my fruit. Leo, what's happening? Newsome Jones, my man CJ, go Birds. Go Birds all day. Bird gang. You know what it is. Jalen Hurts. Peso, Magic fan? You're a Magic fan, or you're barfing because I'm a Magic fan? Either way, I love you. Dilly Benz, good to see you on a Saturday, bro. Charlton, you the man. Thanks for being here and supporting the stream, my dude. Surf, what's happening? Maurice Young, Bucks got more chips than the Eagles, though. Hey, that's all right. Listen, we ain't mad at that. We ain't living in the past. Y'all, the Bucks have done what they've done. I'm cool with that. That was then. We're talking this year, man. We're looking forward to the future. Pat Sullivan, what's up? All right, we got a few of you folks up in here. I think it's time to break it down. So as I mentioned, we got 2 games coming up today. First of those games, the Las Vegas Raiders at the Cincinnati Bengals, folks. 48.5 implied point total, 5.5 point spread in favor of the Cats, the Cincinnati Bengals. Looking at the weather from this game, it's going to be 33 degrees. 33 degrees at Paul Brown Stadium. Pretty cold day. Mostly cloudy. A little bit of wind, 9-mile-per-hour wind. So we're not really worried about the passing game being a problem or anything like that. I'd say if these winds were up in the 20s or something, 15-mile-per-hour winds. There's supposed to be like 20-mile-per-hour winds tomorrow in Tampa Bay, for instance. Then I'd be worried about maybe Joe Burrow in the passing game. Maybe I'd be worried about Jamar Chase. But I'm not worried about that. Not really worried about the passing game for either one of these teams. 9-mile-per-hour winds, nothing to worry about. So this game does look like it's going to stay somewhat close here. I'd expect a balanced attack from both teams. I'd expect a good, healthy amount of passing and running. Doesn't look like this is going to be one of those games where, you're going to see a team blow the other one out and then they have to abandon the run game and turn to passing the football more than running. So I'd expect both running backs to be in play, Jacobs and Mixon. Both passing attacks to be in play. Don't think it's going to be one of those games where it ends up being lopsided. So that is a good thing. So you kind of get an idea here of who's going to be in. You got Carr for the Raiders. You got Burrow for the Bengals. All right, Jacobs and Mixon, we mentioned them. We've got Renfro, Zay Jones, Bryan Edwards, Deshaun Jackson. Darren Waller should be back for this game. He's been out a while, but Waller's back. Mixon, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, the big three. The big three for Cincinnati. And there's your injury news. Not going to go over all of that. But the other game, tonight, 8:15 p.m., New England Patriots at the Buffalo Bills. This is going to be a fun game. Fun game. In Buffalo, 7-degree weather, folks. Ice cold weather. All right, but it's going to be clear. Should not be any precipitation here. You see the precipitation chart? It's important that we keep an eye on the precipitation. 0% chance of any precipitation. So that's good. Winds are 7 miles per hour, not super strong wind gusts or anything like that. So again, I think passing the football here should be A-okay. Total on this game, 44 points, 4.5 point spread in favor of the home team, the Buffalo Bills. I think one of these two teams has a very strong chance, a high likelihood of representing the AFC in the Super Bowl. What do you guys think? A lot of people are liking the Pats. I saw Julian Edelman, former New England Patriot, put down $150,000 on the New England Patriots playing the Tampa Bay Bucks in the Super Bowl. Bad bet or good bet? What do you guys think? Did Edelman just blow a whole bunch of money? He thinks the Pats are going to beat the Bills, obviously. So that should be a fun one. Moving it on down here. Well, you know the drill here. We got Mac Jones for New England. We got Josh Allen. Damian Harris slotted to be the starting running back for the Pats. Devin Singletary for the Bills. All right, Stevenson, he'll be in the mix. Zach Moss probably be in the mix here. Looking at the receivers for the New England side, it's Myers, it's Aguilar, it's Bourne, it's Harry. For the Bills, obviously, Stephon Diggs, one of the best in the league. Cole Beasley, Emmanuel Sanders, Gabe Davis, some names we should probably consider. Hunter Henry, for the New England Patriots, Jonnu Smith. Then you got Dawson Knox on the other side, okay? Then we get to the Sunday games. We got the Buccaneers hosting the Philadelphia Eagles. 63-degree weather, possible light rain. They expect the rain to be mostly clear by the time this game kicks off. So not really too worried about that. Looking at 16 mile per hour winds at the moment. They're saying 16 mile per hour winds here in Tampa Bay. This game has a 45.5 point total, 8.5 point spread in favor of the Buccaneers. Oh, go figure. Well, they're defending champions. Of course it's going to be in favor of the Buccaneers. Nobody believes in the Eagles except for me. But listen, if I'm putting my money down, it's going to be on the Bucs. That's just between you and me. My heart says Eagles. My head says Bucs. It is what it is. Call me what you want. Anyway, Buccaneers expected to be playing with a lead here. Will the Eagles be able to get their running backs involved? I mean, I expect the Eagles to have a balanced attack as long as the game stays somewhat close. They're going to have to try and keep it close here because if we depend on Jalen Hurts to throw the football a whole lot, things could go south, down south very quickly. All right, so that kind of gives you an idea of the weather and the totals and the spread. Obviously, we got Hurts, Sanders, Boston Scott, Jordan Howard, backup running backs. Kenneth Gainwell's also in the mix. Leading receiver, Devontae Smith. He's a stud. Loving what I'm seeing out of Devontae Smith. Quez Watkins, Jalen Reagor will be in the mix. Greg Ward. Dallas Goedert should be a popular target for Jalen Hurts tomorrow. And then over on the Buccaneers side, we got Brady. Leonard Fournette's back in the mix. Gio Bernard is back in the mix. They got Keyshawn Vaughn, Le'Veon Bell. Noticeably missing here is Rojo, Ronald Jones. He was dealing with an ankle injury. Don't know if he's going to be in or out. Mike Evans, obviously the top receiver for the Buccaneers. Chris Godwin out for the season. Antonio Brown, listen, you know about Antonio Brown. He ain't going to be in the game. He ain't with the team anymore. Brashad Perriman will step up. Tyler Johnson, Scotty Miller, some names to maybe keep an eye out on. They just signed John Brown too. Smoke, a.k.a. Smoke. John Brown, little speedster. He could be an interesting little piece. Of course, they love getting the tight ends involved. Rob Gronkowski, definitely going to be in play. Cam Brate, definitely going to be in play. You might even see some O.J. Howard in play, folks. The last time these two teams met, O.J. Howard had himself a nice little game. It was A.B., O.J. Howard, Gronk, and they all had themselves a pretty good game. It was a quiet day for Mike Evans and a quiet day for Chris Godwin. All right, Sunday, 4:30 p.m., San Francisco 49ers at the Dallas Cowboys. 51 implied point total. Pretty damn high total here for this game, meaning they expect a lot of points to be scored. 3-point spread. So it looks like it's going to be a back-and-forth, close competitive game, meaning both teams should be able to use their full plethora of weapons, whether it be a passing attack, a rushing attack. Should be pretty much a balanced approach. We know San Francisco, they like to run more than anything. They're not really a pass-heavy team, but Dak Prescott, he'll let that thing fly, y'all. He let it fly on the Eagles in the last regular season game, too. That game didn't mean anything, so don't you go getting excited, all you Dallas Cowboys fans, saying, oh, we ran the Eagles out of the building. Oh, we put up 50 points on the Eagles. Shut up. Just kidding. Listen, the game didn't matter. It really didn't matter. We were playing backups. Weather for this game, obviously, Dallas playing indoors. 53-degree weather, 5 mile per hour winds. No precipitation. We got Jimmy G at quarterback, Elijah Mitchell at the starting running back spot. They like to use a running back by committee approach most games, does San Francisco. Deebo Samuel, one of those guys who gets some of those running back touches as well, but he's also a hell of a receiver. Brandon Ayuk, okay, those guys are going to be firmly in play. Obviously, George Kittle, one of the favorite targets of the 49ers. Looking at the Dallas side, we got Dak Prescott under center. Zeke and Pollard, they're going to get touches. CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper, your top two options. Michael Gallup out for the season, unfortunately. Blew his knee out. And then we got Dalton Schultz, Blake Jarwin. Easy for me to say. Blake Jarwin at tight end. 8:15, the Sunday night game. Pittsburgh Steelers. Listen, they were all but done, right? They were supposed to be up out of there. It was supposed to be the swan song for Big Ben Roethlisberger and this Pittsburgh team. Here we go again, though. He's the turd that won't flush. No, I didn't mean to say that. Big Ben, hell of a career. Seems like this is probably going to be the end for him, though. Kansas City, 12.5 point favorite, guys. 12.5 point favorite. They are expected to win at home. You see the win probability here, 82%. think Big Ben and company are going to have to throw the ball. And, he hasn't looked great throwing the football, to be honest with you, for a number of years now. Not just this season, not just lately. Big Ben, definitely about time for him to hang up the cleats, folks. All right, this game here, 33-degree weather, super cold, but it's going to be clear, 9-mile-per-hour winds. Not really worried about any of the weather conditions. No precipitation. I'm going to do some ASMR videos where I talk about precipitation. Would that be something you're into? Probably not. Ben Roethlisberger, the quarterback. Najee Harris at running back. What a stud. We've got Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, top 2 receiving options for Pittsburgh. Pat Freiermuth, nice little tight end there for Pittsburgh. Over on the Kansas City side, Pat Mahomes, Darrell Williams. Your receivers, obviously, Tyreek Hill. Then you got a number of other guys who kind of step up. Who's it going to be? I don't know. Could be Byron Pringle. Could be Mecole Hardman. Could be Demarcus Robinson. You just never know with these guys. Travis Kelce, obviously, all-world tight end. Such a stud. Then Monday, 8:15 brings us the Arizona Cardinals at the Los Angeles Rams, not the St. Louis Rams, the Los Angeles Rams. Almost caught me slipping. 49.5 points here between these two teams. Pretty high total, 3.5-point spread. Both offenses should have the ability to do what they like to do. Pass, run, whatever they want to do. Game's going to stay pretty much close and competitive. Looking at the Arizona side here, we've got Kyler Murray, James Conner. Those are your top 2 options. Chase Edmonds, obviously the backup running back. He'll definitely be involved. Christian Kirk, A.J. Green, Rondale Moore. No DeAndre Hopkins, unfortunately. Zach Ertz has been a nice get for the Cardinals. He's been stepping his game up. The big news for the Rams, obviously we've got Matt Stafford at quarterback. We got Sony Michel at running back. But this guy right here, Cam Akers. Boy, it was sad to see Cam Akers blow his knee before week 1. But he's going to be back in the mix here for the Rams. So I'm going to definitely have my eye out on him. Former Florida State Seminole. What's up to you? Cooper Kupp. Obviously, I don't need to say a whole lot about Cooper Kupp. Absolute stud. Had a hell of a year this year for the Rams. Probably the number 1 receiver in all of football. He's going to be joined by Odell Beckham Jr. Obviously, Robert Woods out for the year. Van Jefferson also going to be in the mix. And then you got Tyler Higbee. Decent tight end option. All right, so that's the breakdown of the game, guys. That's who's going to be in, who's going to be out. That's who's going to be in your starting lineups and some names to consider. So let's get down to business, guys. You guys are here for the props. I'm here to help. I'm here for you guys to benefit from this video and hopefully make some money here on NFL Wildcard Weekend. So let's get down to the research like we always do. We're going to be taking a look at Fantasy Labs. Part of Fantasy Labs is Action Labs. They got a number of different models in here. We've got Sean Kerner, one of the sharpest NFL minds out there. He's part of the Fantasy Labs team. Chris Raybon also has his models. But what we'll do is use the consensus projections. What it does is it combines Sean Kerner, Chris Raybon's models into one. All right, so that's what we'll do. We'll kind of look at both of them. It's almost like aggregating both of their models. So let's start things off here. We're also going to be using EV Analytics, which is powered by Derek Carty's The Blitz. So we got like a 3-headed attack here. 3 different really reliable projection models and sources that we want to take a look at. The first guy that's popping off to me, who I'm seeing some value on, is this guy right here. Dak Prescott. We talked about it when we were doing our game breakdowns, our team breakdowns. Dak Prescott likes to throw that thing. Likes to throw it. Had 295 passing yards against Philadelphia, 324 back against Washington. So he's exceeded 272 passing yards in 2 out of his last 5 games. Now, right now, I'm seeing quite an edge here on Dak Prescott. It's worth mentioning he's at 272.5, but on most of your sports books out there, you're going to see him anywhere from 274.5 passing yards all the way up to 285.5 passing yards. So quite a low number here at 272.5, a lot of value. PrizePicks typically does this. They'll typically put their passing yard props and some of the other yardage props a little bit lower than what you're going to find out on some of the other sports books and sites out there. So I'm seeing some tremendous value here for Dak Prescott at 272.5. I've got him going for over 333 passing yards. 333 passing yards according to the Blitz. All right, we'll take a look at Prescott here. We've got Dak up at 279.5 passing yards. So both projection models, the consensus projection models here on Fantasy Labs and the Blitz by Derek Carty, they all have him going over 272.5. And as I mentioned, you see where he's at on various books here at 280, 282.5, 281.5. All right. So the over's looking like a good way to go here on Dak Prescott, according to the 3 different models we're referencing. But let's take it a step further. Let's look at this matchup here. And for this, I'm using profootballreference.com, totally free tool for you to take a look at. And what we'll do is we'll look at we'll click toggle per game stats. We'll head on over to the passing yards column here. And then we'll take a look at the San Francisco 49ers and see how many passing yards per game that they give up to opposing quarterbacks this season. So we'll go down, find San Francisco. They're way down here at the bottom, guys. They give up 224.4 passing yards. 224.4, that's actually the 6th fewest in the NFL this season. So a very good team against the pass. But the projection models are liking Prescott here. So, I'm just reporting what I'm finding to you folks. But the matchup on paper, potentially difficult. But again, the model's loving Dak Prescott. So he's one guy to keep your eye out on. On the flip side of this game, Jimmy Garoppolo. Do we trust Jimmy G and his arm? Let's go take a look at him here on PrizePicks. They got him up at 242.5. 242.5 seems too low because I'm seeing him out on some sports books as low as 248.5, so that's about a 6-yard difference, but as high as 250.5. So we are getting some value here at this line of 242.5. You look at his last 5 game logs, and there's a lot of green. There's a lot to like. Jimmy G has been throwing the football around. He's up at 242.5 versus Dallas. The Blitz, according to Derek Carty, 280 passing yards. So that's like almost a 40-yard difference versus this line of 242.5. Let's just go take a look and see how he lines up here on Fantasy Labs. Jimmy, we got him at 238.5. 238.5. So the Blitz likes him to go over by quite a bit. Fantasy Labs likes him to go under by a few yards. So we're seeing, these projection models are not in agreement with where Jimmy Garoppolo is going to land here, the over or the under. I don't like that. I typically like when both of the models are in agreement here. What do you guys think on Jimmy Garoppolo? Like I said, we're seeing his passing yard line at 248.5, 250.5 out on various different sites. So we are getting some value here. Let's look at the matchup a little bit closer and see how many passing yards per game Dallas is giving up to opposing quarterbacks. Dallas giving up quite a few yards here, folks. 254.2. That's definitely more than 242.5. Right? And that's sort of middle of the pack, but that's toward the top of the middle. So Dallas giving up quite a few passing yards. I think I would lean toward the over on Jimmy Garoppolo in this case. I just feel like he's going to have to throw the football. He's going to have to throw the ball to keep up with this potent Dallas Cowboys offense. I don't think they could get complacent and just keep handing the ball off and think that they're going to win that way. If Dak and company come out clicking, Jimmy G's going to have to play keep up, and the only way to do that is put the football in the air. So those are a couple of quarterback options to consider. Other ones that I'm seeing an edge on. Ben Roethlisberger's passing yards. Do we want to go there? We talked about such a big spread in this game. We know that Big Ben and company will be trailing, most likely be trailing to Kansas City for a majority of the game. Ben Roethlisberger's going to have to throw. But when he throws, how effective will he be? Listen, he's at 215.5 passing yards right now, Big Ben. I've got him projected on the Blitz for 253 passing yards. That's like 40 more passing yards than where he's at on PrizePicks, according to the Blitz projection system. Now, his last 5 games, he's gone over this number in 2 out of 5. The opponents, Baltimore, 244 passing yards versus the Ravens, 308 passing yards versus the Vikings. But he struggled here in 3 of those games. Sandwich in between, 130 passing yards against Tennessee, 159 the last time he met Kansas City. If he throws for 159 yards, Pittsburgh's going to lose. There's just no way. There's just no way they're going to win with him throwing for 159 passing yards. Maybe they make some corrections. Maybe they fix things, and Roethlisberger turns in a vintage performance or something better than 159 passing yards. I got Ben Roethlisberger going for 229.5 here using the Fantasy Labs tools. 229.5 according to Fantasy Labs. And then I got him at 253. So both projection models like him to go over 215.5. And again, the game script is definitely going to be in Roethlisberger's favor in terms of passing the football early and often. They will most likely be trailing majority of this game. Now we look at the matchup here. Kansas City giving up over 261 passing yards per game to opposing quarterbacks. That's a lot. That puts them in the top 10. To be exact, 8th most passing yards per game to opposing QBs. So this is a plus matchup. There's upside here for Ben Roethlisberger at just 215.5 passing yards. So I would say let's go ahead and put that 159 passing yard performance behind us, the 123 behind us. Let's hope this 244 passing yard game against Baltimore was a sign of things to come. I think Roethlisberger's going to have every opportunity that you could hope for to go over 215.5. What are you guys thinking? Big Ben? We liking the edge on Big Ben? Just seems too low. Seems too low. Other ones that are popping off on the Blitz projection systems. Oh, we talked about Dak Prescott. He's the one with the biggest edge that I'm seeing according to the Blitz. Jimmy G, Ben Roethlisberger, Matt Stafford. Maybe we go Matt Stafford. He's at 266.5. Last time he played Arizona, he put up 287 passing yards against the Cardinals. He's covered this number in 2 out of his last 5 games. Once was against Arizona. The other one was against Baltimore. Maybe he gets it done again today. Not today, but tomorrow, Monday. Okay, Monday night. Maybe he gets it done Monday night. I've got Stafford projected for 301 passing yards. 301 passing yards according to the Blitz. He's at 273, 274 on most of your sports books. So we are seeing quite a big edge here. 266.5 versus 273, 274. So I think Stafford could be a good play. Let's go take a look at the projections on Fantasy Labs. We know the Blitz likes the over on Matt Stafford. Fantasy Labs has him for 280.5 passing yards. So again, 2 or 3, however you want to look at it, very trusted projection models for NFL. All of them like the over on Matt Stafford. 301, 280, both numbers a lot more than 266.5. So for me, I'm probably leaning toward the over here. Let's just look at the matchup against the Cardinals. We talked about how he covered this number, 266.5, back on December 13th, the last time he met the Arizona Cardinals. Let's go see how many passing yards per game Arizona's been giving up this season. Just 225.6, guys, which is the 7th fewest in all of the NFL. 7th fewest. So on paper, difficult matchup. But I kind of want to say that we click the over again on Matthew Stafford and let it ride. I think they're going to have to pass the football against Arizona. All right. None of these other ones are really standing out as like super sharp edges. Of course, Tom Brady could possibly be in play. I worry just a little bit about the weather. We talked about there could be some rain conditions, some rain issues. I think for the start of the game, that's a potential thing. Precipitation that we talked about. But I think Brady will have every opportunity that he could ask for to go over 265.5. Got him projected for about 286, so about a 21-yard edge on the Blitz. Looking at Brady here on Fantasy Labs, got him at 287.5, so both models loving the over on Tom Brady at 265.5. We look at the various books here. He's at 273, 268, 270. So a low of 268.5, a high of 273.5. But again, all of those numbers more than the 265.5. So we are getting a bit of value here on Tom Brady's passing yards. So that's enough about passing yards, all right? Let's talk about some rushing yards. We're going to look at namely the running backs. The guys that will get the touches, the guys that will get the rock, so to speak. Don't really have a way of filtering by position, so we'll just wing it here. Let's go ahead and dial it up here. Let me get things pulled up on the blitz. Appreciate everybody joining, by the way. I love seeing some different people up in here. JT saying that the fake NFL is rigged. There's a 2013 YouTube video called Ultimate Reception by a Vikings player showing magnetic football and gloves. Is the NFL really rigged? Oh my God. Everyone run and hide. It's fake. The NFL's not real. JT, I'm going to have to check out that video. That sounds very interesting. I would love to see that, in fact. Would love to see that video. All right. Let's go find some running back props. I have never heard of anything of the sort. Magnetic footballs, magnetic gloves. Sounds fun, though. It does sound fun. I know somebody had already mentioned Josh Jacobs of the Las Vegas Raiders. You guys are liking some Josh Jacobs rushing yards? Well, I think that's a pretty good way to start things off here. Josh Jacobs at 56.5 rushing yards. We're seeing him at 60, 61 rushing yards, 62.5 rushing yards on most of your sports books out there. So at 56.5, we are getting a bit of value. Got him projected for 81.8 rushing yards according to the Blitz. Huge edge here. We're talking about 35, 40% edge. 40% edge versus this number here on PrizePicks of 56.5. Let's go ahead, pull up a projection for Josh Jacobs. On Fantasy Labs, I got him at 65 rushing yards. So both projection models loving the over on Josh Jacobs here. He's covered this in 3 straight games, putting up 2 100-yard performances. 129 against a pretty good Denver Broncos defense, and then 132 against the Los Angeles Chargers. And he had a 63-yard game against Indianapolis. Pretty good defense in their own right. So, yes, things are looking pretty good here for Josh Jacobs at 56.5 rushing yards. Let's go ahead, pull up running backs here. Again, this is totally free. ProFootballReference.com is where you can find this information. We're going to head on over to the rushing yards column. We're going to sort by the teams giving up the most rushing yards down to the least rushing yards. He's going up against Cincinnati. Cincinnati, pretty stout run defense if you look at where they rank here, where they fall in line. 83 rushing yards per game allowed to opposing running backs. That's enough upside here at just 56.5 for me to say, let's click the over. I think Josh Jacobs over rushing yards makes for a nice play. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. Covered in 3 straight games. And again, we talked about this game staying close and competitive. I think both teams will be able to utilize their run game. Their pass game shouldn't get out of hand. At least that's not what it looks like on paper, according to the Vegas lines makers who come up with these lines and these spreads. All right. So I think Josh Jacobs over rushing yards could definitely be worth a look at just 56.5. Pretty good edge on him. He is the running back with the biggest edge. Now, right behind him, though, and not too far behind him is Joe Mixon's rushing yards. His rushing yard prop is at 71.5 on PrizePicks. But I'm seeing him as high as 75.5 out on your favorite sports books. But you see a lot of red here for Joe Mixon. In the last 5 games, 5 straight, he's gone under 71.5 rushing yards. But it's not all doom and gloom. It's not all bad news on Joe Mixon. I've got him projected, according to the Blitz here, for over 96 rushing yards. That's a pretty big edge. That's 30+% edge. All right? So things looking pretty good here for Joe Mixon according to the Blitz. Let's go take a look at Fantasy Labs and see what they think about Mr. Joe Mixon. We got him going for 80 rushing yards on Fantasy Labs. So both of these trusted models, both of these trusted projection sites have him going for 80 or more rushing yards. Loving that. Makes me feel pretty good whenever I see both projection models in agreement. So let's go take a look at this matchup here for Joe Mixon. He's going up against the Las Vegas Raiders. And they're giving up more rushing yards per game than the Bengals are. Their run defense allowing nearly 95 rushing yards per game. That's about 24 more yards than what Joe Mixon needs to break 71.5. So I think he's a good play for an over as well. Not the greatest hit rates, but the matchup here against Vegas looking pretty juicy on paper. Okay, so he's another one worth considering. Those two running backs are your running backs with the biggest edges that I'm seeing so far. Another running back maybe to consider here. He's got a tough matchup. We know the Tampa Bay Buccaneers run defense, one of the most stout in the league. But correct me if I'm wrong. I could be wrong. Miles Sanders, did he play versus the Buccaneers the last time they took the field? Something tells me that like he might have went over his rushing yard prop. I could be wrong. That was a while ago. I could be wrong. But if anybody wants to look that up, look it up. Anyway, Miles Sanders at 38.5 rushing yards seems pretty attractive. I'm seeing him at anywhere from 44.5, 43.5 rushing yards on most of your favorite sports books out there. Got him projected for 54, over 54 rushing yards according to the Blitz. So seeing a pretty decent edge here on Miles Sanders at this number, looking at about 25% or more of an edge versus PrizePicks. So I think this could be a good spot, an interesting spot for Miles Sanders. Pending the game doesn't turn into a blowout and that the Philadelphia Eagles have to abandon their run game. But the Bucs, they're giving up a decent amount of rushing yards. Enough rushing yards to make me feel okay about taking an over on Sanders here. Got him projected for 52 rushing yards. So both models loving the over. He's popping off here on both models for more than 38.5 rushing yards. Let's go look at the matchup against the Buccaneers, see how they've done against the run this year. Tampa Bay, again, one of the most, actually the most difficult teams to run against. Okay, so on paper, it's going to look ugly. They're giving up 63.7 rushing yards per game, the first fewest to opposing running backs. But at 63.7, if Sanders gets enough of the touches, you compare that 63.7 to the 38.5 that he's at on PrizePicks, and there's some upside here. He needs 39 to get it done. Maybe he does. He's been off since December 26th. That was the last time he took the field, so it's been a number of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks now since he's played football. So is there going to be rust? Is there going to be a timeshare in the Eagles' backfield? It remains to be seen. Going through the rest of these here. Ezekiel Elliott versus San Francisco. He's popping off on the blitz models. Do we trust Zeke, though? He's been kind of like banged up for a while, right? He just hasn't been the same old Z. Not the same old G, but the same old Z. He's at 47.5 rushing yards. He did pop off for 87 rushing yards on the last game, January 9th against Philadelphia. So that's a good sign. Maybe he's feeling better. I do have him projected for 55 rushing yards. So not as great of an edge as guys like Josh Jacobs, Joe Mixon, Miles Sanders. Okay, not as big of an edge. We know Tony Pollard is going to be around. He's definitely going to get some work. You can't have Tony Pollard on your team and not give him the football a few times. How much work? We don't know. But anyway, got him projected for 55. Seeing him out on most sports books at 45 to 47.5. Now, the fact that he's at 45.5 on some books and he's that low, actually lower than PrizePicks, does give me a little bit of concern. Usually PrizePicks is lower than anywhere else when it comes to yardage, but not the case here. There's actually a sports book out there that has him lower than 47.5. So it gives me some pause here, a little bit of pause. Let's go take a look at the projections for Elliott. Got him projected for 52 rushing yards, which, again, is slightly more than 47.5, but again, not a super good edge here, not like a super sharp edge or anything. But let's take a look at this matchup. San Francisco, pretty tough defense. They're giving up just 76 rushing yards per game to opposing running backs. He needs 48. Tony Pollard's in the mix. I don't know. I don't feel as good about Ezekiel Elliott as I do a guy like Josh Jacobs, maybe even Joe Mixon, Miles Sanders. So I'm kind of off Zeke personally. Tough matchup. Tony Pollard kind of scares me a little bit. Rodriguez Family Diaries. What's happening, my friend? Another Tampa Bay native in the building. He says he's running late, but shout out to Curry. What's up, fam? Glad to see you're still doing your thing. Keep up the work. We appreciate your insight and advice. Well, I appreciate that comment, man. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you. All right. So that's about it for the running back props, at least for rushing yards. The ones that have the biggest edges again. Josh Jacobs, Joe Mixon, Miles Sanders. We didn't talk about him, but maybe Sony Michel. But with Cam Akers back in the fold, I don't know what to make of that. So I'm going to kind of stay away from that one, see how it plays out. Zeke's on the list as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the receiving yard props that are standing out. We'll kind of stick to doing just wide receivers and tight ends unless you guys have like a special ask, a special situation that you want to see. You know, maybe there's a running back receiving yards that you're interested in. But we'll keep it wide receiver focused. All right. Now, there's going to be some names. There's going to be some names on this wide receiver list that you guys are like, ooh, gosh, you're going to have to pinch your nose and just knock it back, so to speak. Some of these names are they're not Stephon Diggs and Cooper Kupp, all right? That's just the way it's going to be, though. You're going to have to find some value, and sometimes the best place to find value are the guys that are the second, third string wide receivers on their teams. Everybody's focused and puts a sharp line out for a guy like Stephon Diggs, Cooper Kupp, Mike Evans. Like, we kind of know what to expect. Where you get into some value plays is the guys that are off the grid, off the radar a little bit. So let's talk about one. Let's see if he's up on the PrizePicks board before I mention him. Scrolling. I probably should just use the search function on PrizePicks, huh? He is on the board, folks. This guy, Rondale Moore. It's ugly. I get it. Look, we open up his last 5 games. 8, 9, 5, and 10. He does have a 51-yard performance against the Seattle Seahawks, but he's at 13.5 receiving yards. Seeing him at 16.5 out on your favorite sports book. So that's 3 yards of value. Not a ton, but it's something. I've got him projected on the blitz right now for nearly 32 receiving yards. 32 receiving yards. So they like him to go over 13.5 versus the Rams. Last time he played the Rams, 5 receiving yards. Okay? So again, I get it. You're going to look at the game logs. You're going to be like, this guy sucks. Why should we go there? Sometimes going there is necessary to find the value. Let's go ahead and pull up the receiving yards for Moore according to Fantasy Labs. They got him projected for 16.1. That's lower than the 16.5 that you're going to find him out on most of the sports books. He's at 15.5 on another site. At 15.5, we're seeing some action on the over, minus 120. So some folks are feeling good enough about 15.5 to take the over. We're getting him at 13.5. Just saying, he's worth maybe a look, maybe a shot. Maybe you take a shot on Rondale Moore. All right, we're going to go to the wide receiver category next. We're going to get toggle per game stats clicked, and then we're going to go down and look at this matchup against the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams, kind of middle of the pack in terms of receiving yards allowed to opposing wideouts this season, giving up 173.5, puts them probably just outside the top 10. So it's not a scary matchup by any means. Not one that we're looking to fade. Oh, there we go. Actually, it's a lot better matchup than it looked like a minute ago. They're actually giving up the 4th most receiving yards per game. I did not have that sorted properly. The 4th most receiving yards per game to opposing wide receivers, 173.5. There's upside here for Moore. I think both of these teams are going to be passing. I'm just mentioning it, okay? The edge on this particular prop, according to the Blitz and EV Analytics, 99% or more, 100% or more on Moore. He's at 13.5. I got him projected for about 32. So that's more than 100% edge. Not saying go all in on him. I'm not saying take him in every single entry, but put him in at least one entry. All right. He's worth at least one shot. At least one shot on him. It's just looking too juicy. And it may not work out. You know, he's not like their top receiver or anything like that. Speaking of guys who are not top receivers, Emmanuel Sanders. He's at 22.5. We look at the last 5 games at 22.5 receiving yards. Emmanuel Sanders, been close. And in some games, he's gone over. 3 out of 5, he's covered 22.5 receiving yards. 23 or more in 3 out of 5 games, averaging about 24.2 receiving yards per game. Last time he faced New England, 22 receiving yards, falling just shy. Death by the hook, that 0.5 after the 22.5, that's the hook. So you would have lost to the hook in that case if he was 22.5 on that day and you took the over back on December 6th when these two teams last met. Why I'm mentioning Emmanuel Sanders? Well, he's at 24.5 receiving yards, 25.5 receiving yards on a couple of different sites, couple of different books. He's at 36.6 projected receiving yards according to the Blitz. So that's an edge of more than 50%. I know, we're not talking about Cooper Kupp or Stephon Diggs, and you guys are probably like, oh, this sucks. Ask the folks who are in Discord when I go live in Discord and I do these audio only NFL research breakdowns and all that stuff. Ask them about some of these scrubs, these scrub quarterbacks, some of these lesser known wide receivers. Emmanuel Sanders isn't a scrub. All right. He just doesn't have the big role that he had at one point. But ask about some of those plays that are like off the grid, off the radar type of plays. They work out sometimes. I think they work out more often than you would think. Anyway, I got Emmanuel Sanders projected at 26.8 receiving yards. He's projected to go over on both projection models. And again, he's at 25.5 receiving yards out on a couple of different books. Now, this has to be a mistake. PointsBet apparently has him at 45.5 receiving yards, and someone's betting the over. That's got to be a mistake. There's no way he's at 45.5 and someone's taking the over there. That's got to be a mistake. Anyway, projected to go over on both. Let's look at the matchup against New England. New England, typically one of the more difficult defenses in the league. We go all the way down to the bottom. You can see what they've done against opposing wide receivers. Just 127.7 receiving yards allowed per game to wideouts. That's the second fewest. Second fewest. So on paper, difficult matchup for Sanders. He came up just short, though. Like 1 yard short of covering 22.5 the last time he faced New England. Actually, the last 2 times he's come up short. 22 against New England on December 2nd or 6th, and December 26th, he had 20 receiving yards. So he's got to find a couple of extra yards. He's got to squeeze out a couple of extra yards, maybe some some yards after catch gets him there. All right, another guy that we're going to talk about, we liked Dak Prescott over passing yards, right? So one of his top receivers would definitely have to be in play then, right? That would mean that we'd have to take one of his top receivers, and we're talking about CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb at 57.5 receiving yards. He's covered this in 2 out of his last 5 games. 40% hit rate for CeeDee Lamb. Now, why he's being mentioned is because I'm seeing him out on a couple of different sites at 60.5, 62.5, 63.5, 66.5 in some places. So the lines makers on some of these sites have him as high as 66.5. That's like a 9-yard value versus PrizePicks. You don't see that every day. CeeDee Lamb projected for 85, over 85 rushing yards. So that's a difference of nearly 30 yards versus his number here at 57.5. Michael Gallup, like we talked about, no longer in the picture. So it's going to be Lamb and it's going to be Cooper. Lamb and Cooper leading the way for Dallas. Let's go ahead and take a look at his projection on Fantasy Labs. Got him for 66 receiving yards, which is more than 57.5, obviously. So all of these projection models absolutely loving CeeDee Lamb over 57.5. We talked about the value that we're seeing him at on PrizePicks, the various books, 60.5, 62.5, 63.5 in some spots. All right, so let's go take a look at this matchup. He's going up against San Francisco. 49ers giving up 161.5 receiving yards per game to opposing wideouts, which puts them like right around the top 10. 10th most, we'll say. So looking pretty good. Pretty good in this game. 57.5 looks like it's going to be doable for CeeDee Lamb. Some other ones to maybe consider. Mike Evans, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Obviously, no more Chris Godwin in the picture. No more Antonio Brown in the picture. So Mike Evans will be the primary receiver. Don't think he had a great game against Philadelphia the last time these two teams played back in the regular season. So what do we expect from Mike Evans? Well, I can tell you this. my recollection of that game was that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had all that they wanted open in the middle of the field and underneath. They ended up checking down a lot to guys like Leonard Fournette. He had a pretty good receiving yard game. O.J. Howard, I mentioned him earlier. He had a pretty good game. I believe Gronk had a good game. Antonio Brown over the middle was money. So maybe Mike Evans gets more looks without Brown, without Godwin. But he didn't have a great game against the Philadelphia Eagles. He might end up being shadowed or covered by Darius Slay. Pretty good cornerback in his own right. I got Mike Evans at 53.5 receiving yards on most sites. 53.5, just a couple yards different. So not a huge edge. But the projection's looking good. He's at 70.3 according to the Blitz. 70.3 projected receiving yards, which puts him over 51.5. Let's just take a look at the Kerner and Raybon models. We got both of those models combined, in case you're just joining us. Chris Raybon, Sean Kerner, two of the sharpest minds in the NFL fantasy and sports betting space. They both have their own projection models. We've combined those. We're also referencing Derek Carty's The Blitz projection system. So we got three very reliable, sharp models to reference here versus PrizePicks. So 61.9 is his projection. Nearly 62 receiving yards. That's obviously more than 51.5, right? So both sites, both projection models, love the over on Mike Evans. Got him at 70 on one, 62 on the other. The Blitz likes him more than Fantasy Labs likes him. But nonetheless, overs on both. Let's go take a look at this matchup here against Philadelphia, see how many receiving yards this season that they're giving up to opposing wideouts. Philadelphia down here at the bottom, surprisingly, you might not think it, but third fewest receiving yards allowed to opposing wide receivers. So we talked about Evans not having that great of a game the last time he faced the Eagles. Well, the Eagles giving up just 130.7, the third fewest in the NFL to opposing wideouts. So maybe Mike Evans isn't the way to attack the Eagles. Maybe it'll be Gronk, like we mentioned, or Fournette. Maybe it'll be a guy like O.J. Howard or Cam Brate that steps up. But he's worth mentioning because he is popping off pretty strong on the models. We already talked CeeDee Lamb. We briefly mentioned Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper's definitely in play. I think both of these Cowboys receivers are firmly in play. Cooper coming off of a 79-yard receiving game against the Philadelphia Eagles. We just talked about how tough the Eagles defense is. But this number's kind of skewed a little bit. The Eagles had a lot of their second stringers in there, a lot of their backup guys. So Cooper, probably a little bit of an easier day, easier time with the backups. Projected for 76 receiving yards. So both he and Lamb definitely in play. I'll just quickly pull up a projection for Cooper. Got him at 57.3. So slight favorite to go over according to Fantasy Labs. Pretty big favorite according to the Blitz. Both sites like the over. But again, San Francisco, we'll have to see how their defense holds up against Dak Prescott and company. We talked about liking some Ben Roethlisberger. If we think Roethlisberger goes over his passing yards, well, then we would have to take or have to at least consider his top pass catcher, which is Deontay Johnson. I think Deontay Johnson's receiving yards are definitely in play. Where is he? There he is. 60.5 on PrizePicks. Has not covered this number in 4 straight weeks. We have to go all the way back to December 9th against Minnesota to see the last time he's covered this prop at 76. So Deontay Johnson, got him projected at 77.2. That's about 17 yards different than where he's at on PrizePicks. I'll quickly pull up a projection for you on Johnson. 60.4, not so great of an edge. Pretty close to 60.5. And then we'll go take a look at Kansas City and see how many receiving yards per game that they're giving up to opposing wide receivers. 158.1, pretty healthy number. Just outside the top 10, but probably like top 15th in the most receiving yards allowed to opposing wideouts. So if you believe in Ben Roethlisberger and the game script of Pittsburgh trailing to Kansas City will be forced to throw, then you'd have to imagine that Deontay Johnson would be heavily targeted. The last time he faced Kansas City, 51 receiving yards. Didn't quite have enough to get over the hump of 60.5. Dub K wants to know, do I play defense and special teams on PrizePicks? Not typically. I mostly focus on the offensive side. I mostly look at single stat props for NFL. Sometimes I'll play some fantasy point props. By the way, fantasy points on PrizePicks for NFL, most like DraftKings. Not exactly like, but most like DraftKings. The biggest difference is DraftKings, they give you a 3-point bonus when a quarterback goes over 300 passing yards. They also give you a 3-point bonus when your wide receiver goes over 100 receiving yards, or when your running back goes over 100 rushing yards. So you have to keep that in mind. It's not completely apples to apples like it is for NBA and FanDuel scoring. NFL for PrizePicks is not exactly like DraftKings scoring. Very close though. So if you think a player is going to go for over 300 passing yards, if you think they're going to go over 300 receiving yards or over 300 rushing yards, you have to keep in mind that whatever that projection you're seeing on that site, you have to take 3 points off of that. And then you're one-to-one, apples to apples with PrizePicks and how they score the NFL. Definitely important to know that. All right, that's enough about receiving yards. Let's just take a look at some of these other ones. Probably, I guess we'll go touchdowns. I don't know. I don't get into receptions a whole lot. I never really see or find any big edges in the projection sites versus what we see here on PrizePicks. PrizePicks is able to do a pretty good job here. You can see a lot of these receiving props, reception props are already rounded up or rounded down. 3, 5. Renfro, 5.5. He typically is targeted a lot, gets a lot of receptions. Things have been falling off lately for him, but he's a guy that's usually pretty heavily targeted. But anyway, yeah, I never really find a lot of tremendous value, at least not on paper, on the reception. So I don't typically go there. Where I do typically do well is on the touchdown category. Now, if you've never played NFL before on PrizePicks, you'll see a category called touchdowns. Then you'll see passing touchdowns. Then you'll see rushing touchdowns and receiving touchdowns. These are pretty self-explanatory. A receiving touchdown is when a player catches for a touchdown. Rushing touchdown is when a player runs a touchdown in. Passing touchdown, again, self-explanatory, when a quarterback throws for a touchdown. But these touchdowns are any kind of touchdowns. Any touchdown, rushing or receiving. And some of these guys are better at getting those touchdowns than others. So let's take a look at those real quick and see what the best options are for any time touchdowns. See, am I able to pull that? I'll have to probably pull that up over here. Since they're all running backs, we can just look at the running back category. This is the Blitz interface, by the way. So how I go about doing this is I go to RUTD, that's rushing touchdowns, and I look at the projections here. And then I also go over to the receiving touchdowns, and I look at the projections there. And for running backs, I combine the two. So let's start things off by looking at rushing touchdowns. The guys with the highest projected rushing touchdowns. Joe Mixon, he is not up on the anytime touchdown board. He is up on the rushing touchdown board. You open it up, you can see 2 out of the last 5 games, he's found the end zone on the ground. He is the highest projected rushing touchdown guy right now. 0.91 rushing touchdowns projected for Mixon. That's nearly 1 rushing touchdown. Just to further our research here a little bit more, we'll go to the running back category. We'll go toggle per game stats. We'll go to rushing touchdowns allowed by these defenses, and we'll go find the Las Vegas Raiders. They're giving up 0.94 rushing touchdowns per game this season. That is the 6th most. 6th most. So I would say that there's a pretty good likelihood, a high chance here that maybe Joe Mixon falls into the end zone for a touchdown. I think Mixon's touchdown prop, according to the Blitz, looking pretty solid. Let's see if I can get you a rushing touchdown prop here on Fantasy Labs. Nope, they don't have them. All right. So we got to rely on the Blitz. So that's where the Blitz is better than Fantasy Labs. They offer you those rushing touchdown projections. So again, Joe Mixon, the player with the highest rushing touchdown projection at 0.91 projected rushing touchdowns. And he's facing a defense that gives up quite a few rushing touchdowns per game, one of the most giving in that category. So he's definitely in play. Let's go back to the touchdown board. We see Sony Michel's name up here. Sony Michel, again, going to be sharing some snaps with Cam Akers. How much work will Cam Akers get remains to be seen. But Michel at 0.75 projected rushing touchdowns, and he's at 0.07 receiving touchdowns. So that puts him over, let's say 0.82 combined. When you combine the two numbers, 0.82 anytime touchdowns or any kind of touchdowns. So, yeah, that would be an overplay for me on Sony Michel for an anytime or any kind of touchdown. I think he's definitely in play. Let's go take a look at this matchup against the Arizona Cardinals and see how many rushing touchdowns per game that they give up. Arizona, pretty stingy against the rushing touchdowns, just 0.35 allowed per game. They're tied with New England for the first fewest amount of rushing touchdowns per game. And then we look at the receiving touchdowns that they allow per game, just 0.06. So you combine those two numbers, they're giving up 0.41 any kind of touchdowns, any type of touchdowns, anytime touchdowns to opposing running backs. So it's going to be tough for Michel facing off against this Arizona Cardinals defense. I'd probably fade him and fade the projections. If you want to take a shot on it, can't blame you. But it's looking like a tough matchup against the Cardinals. So I'm kind of off of him. Who else do we have up here that's popping off? Deebo Samuel, he typically does kind of find the end zone, but he's not really showing up or showing off here. Josh Jacobs could be one for an any touchdown. He's at 0.6 for a rushing touchdown prop. He's at 0.13 for a receiving touchdown prop. So you combine the two numbers, 0.73 versus a 0.5. So there's a 0.73 projection for him to go over. He needs just one touchdown, whether it be through the air or on the ground. Let's look at the matchup against Cincinnati here. Oh, where are you at, Bengals? Bengals giving up 0.76 rushing touchdowns to running backs per game and 0.18 receiving touchdowns to running backs per game. So you combine those two numbers, 0.94 any touchdown to opposing running backs. So Josh Jacobs at 0.5. I think there's a good chance that he could find the end zone. I think he's definitely in play. Otherwise, I don't know. You want to go receiving touchdowns? We could take a look at those real quick. And I'll turn things over to you guys and take any plays that you guys are interested in talking about. Yeah, we need to switch this up and go to wide receiver, don't we? The guy with the best projection when it comes to a receiving touchdown, Cooper Kupp. He's not on the board. But if we get Cooper Kupp at some point, he is projected for a 0.74 receiving touchdown. So really high number. Just to put that into perspective for you, Tyreek Hill is the second highest guy, 0.55. Stephon Diggs, 0.54. So, I mean, it's kind of a coin flip when you look at the projections and where these guys are, 0.5. So I'm not seeing a super good edge or anything on any of these. Now, where I've seen some value in the past is pass completions. We could take a look at those real quick. There's just a handful of them to look at, so it shouldn't take too long, and then we'll take some of your questions and stuff. Just real quickly, the quarterbacks with the biggest edges in terms of completions. Jimmy G, we talked about liking him over on his passing yard prop, so it would make sense that his pass completions would be in play. Got him projected for 23.5 pass completions on the blitz. We'll go over here and look at Fantasy Labs. Got him projected for 21. So both sites like the over on Jimmy Garoppolo at 20 pass completions. Another guy that's standing out on the blitz is Mac Jones. Mac Jones is at 17.5 on PrizePicks. I got him projected for 19.6. So 2 completed passes higher than where he's at on PrizePicks. Taking a look at Fantasy Labs. Got him projected for 19.5 there as well. So both sites agree that 17.5 is too low for Mac Jones. Too low for Mac Jones. The last couple of games he faced Buffalo, had just 2 completions against Buffalo back on December 6th. I don't know what happened there. 14 on December 26th against Buffalo. So he's failed to cover in 2 straight games against Buffalo, but the projection models are loving him. He has completed 22 and 20 passes, respectively, over the last 2 games. So maybe Mac Jones is in play. Other guys to consider, Dak Prescott. We like the over on his passing yards. We think the Cowboys, according to these models, the models love the Cowboys passing attack. So Dak Prescott over his completed passes of 25.5. Got him going for like 27 to 28. Stafford, we talked about liking the Rams passing attack. He could be an option for an over as well. All right. So that's gonna be about it, man. What do you guys like in here? Go ahead and drop your favorite picks, your favorite plays, your questions that you might have for me on this NFL wildcard weekend. I appreciate you guys liking the stream too. I can't stress that enough. Those of you who join me for the NBA live streams every morning, 11 a.m. Eastern time, you already know that the likes make the world go round. That's how we grow the channel. And I want to keep growing because I want to keep helping as many of you as possible. So appreciate you guys, sharing this, liking this, subscribing. Maybe this is your first time ever seeing me. Subscribe and turn on notifications. I do player prop videos daily, Monday through Friday anyway. So Alexander Rush wants to know, what is my card? I don't have a card. I don't even have anything built yet. This is literally the first time that I've laid eyes on the PrizePicks board for NFL. Right here, right now. Don't have anything locked in yet, Alexander. Truth be told. So, Latoria, I think you bring up a very interesting question. What unders am I interested in? Now, here's why this is an interesting question. JT back again with the NFL is rigged talk. You're all right, buddy. Take the tinfoil off your head. NFL is WWE. Okay, cool. We won't be playing any NFL based on that comment, sir. Thank you for leaving that. We will all fade the NFL tomorrow. It's not going to happen. Thank you for spreading the good word, my friend. I'm sure some people will take heed and warning. David says, hit the like button for CJ. David, I appreciate you. Back to Latoria's question, though. She's asking about, I believe that's a she. She's asking about any questions or any unders that I'm interested in. Yeah, there's some unders that we have to think about, mainly in the quarterback department, because some of you may know, some of you may not. There is a way to unlock bigger payouts on your 5-pick flex entries. All right, Latoria, just making sure. Listen, just making sure. Just making sure. There's a way to unlock a 15x payout on PrizePicks. What you have to do, the only way that I know to do this, you take 2 quarterbacks from the same game, 1 over, 1 under. And then you put any other 3 picks in there. I think you could even mix sports. If I'm wrong on this, you guys let me know in the chat. If I'm wrong on this, you guys let me know in the chat. But I believe it's got to be same game, 2 QBs, 1 over, 1 under. And that's how you unlock the 15x payout. I believe that's how it goes. So for instance, say you were liking Derek Carr and you were also liking Joe Burrow. Maybe you want to take Derek Carr over 23. Maybe you want to take Joe Burrow under. Then you get this little dialogue right here. Hopefully you guys can see this. Same game payouts. For same game NFL, the payouts have changed as a result of this combination. So if I were to do a 2-pick power play with these 2 quarterbacks, it'd be a 4x payout instead of a 3x. 4x payout instead of a 3x. Now, if I wanted to, mix NBA in with this, let's say I want Fred VanVleet. By the way, don't know anything about it. I haven't looked at NBA yet. I'm just saying, Fred VanVleet, let's just say over on his points. We'll go to the rebound category. Maybe we want to take John Collins over on rebounds. And then maybe we want to go assist here and take Trae Young. Sounds good. 8.5 assists. My payout now with this combination, 2 quarterbacks from the same game, 1 over, 1 under, is now 15x if I get all 5 of these picks correct. If I get 4 out of 5 correct, 2.5x instead of the normal 2x. All right. So if I put in $20, I can win 300. If I wanted to put, I don't know, $100, I'd win $1,500. If I wanted to jack this up to everything that's in my account, $474, I could win $7,000. I don't know if it'll let me place this, but I could try anyway. So that's how you unlock those 15x payouts. 2 QBs from the same game, 1 under, 1 over. Now, let me go back here. There's a question I've got about this. Let's say I wanted to go over on Derek Carr's pass completions, but maybe I didn't want to go under on Joe Burrow's pass completions. Maybe I wanted to go under on Joe Burrow's passing yards. Well, I get the 15x. I still get the 15x. So they don't even have to be the same single stat category. Okay? Now, a lot of you already probably know this. For those of you who don't, there are bigger payouts that can be unlocked on PrizePicks. 10x is not where the elevator stops. It goes all the way to the top, which is 15. All right, so let's clear this card out here. We don't want to actually put in anything right now because I don't have any idea what I'm going to play yet. David, back again with a super chat. He says, Vucevic in 13 games without Levine went over his points prop of 16.5 11 times. For you NBA heads out there, this is an NBA pick. This is not an NFL pick. At 18.5 on Pcash, pair that with Jacobs yards and then sign up for Patreon. Okay. So you're liking Nikola Vucevic over 16.5 points due to Zach LaVine being out. Okay, cool. King Chris is saying, if you take both overs on quarterbacks, it actually gives you a 12.5x payout. So maybe, who do we talk about? I think we talked about liking some Carr, and we talked about liking some Burrow, was it, potentially, over on passing yards? No, it was Jimmy G and Dak. Liking the over on passing yards for both of them. So you're saying if I take both of these guys over, and then I go, maybe I want to sprinkle in Fred VanVleet, Giannis, and Chris Middleton. Again, don't tail this Fred VanVleet, Giannis, and Middleton over. I have no idea. I just want to see what he's talking about. Okay, cool. So you get a 12.5x payout if you get all 5 right. So just to give you an idea, you put $100 on this, you're going to get $1,250. Add another 0 to that, $12,500. You're the richest man in the world. Cool. But if you get 4 out of 5 right, you get a 2x payout instead of the 2.5x that we talked about earlier. Very cool. So there's some ideas, some ways, some secrets to getting the bigger payouts on PrizePicks. And you can mix them. Brian, what do you mean by mixing them? Sports or Dub K123? You asked me, do I play defensive props? I said no. I said I mostly play offensive props for NFL. Thank you, Isaac. This is part of the salute to service line of NFL hats. So back to Latoria, I'm going to keep you on the hook here. Your last name is Bass after all, so bass fishing. I'm going to keep you on the hook here. You're asking me about them unders. You want to unlock that 15x payout? Let's do something for Latoria and the rest of the chat. By sports, just can't be NFL for your. Okay, that makes sense. You can mix other sports in. I got you. Latoria wants to know about some unders. So we talked all over so far. So let's see if there's any situation here where maybe we can string together 2 quarterbacks from the same game and figure out how we're going to put those 2 quarterbacks together and lead us to maybe a 15x payout. So passing yard props. Let's go back to the NFL screen here. Passing yard props. The guys that are projecting the lowest Now, it's hard to do this. It's hard to unlock this 15x in terms of passing yards props because PrizePicks already puts up a pretty low number when it comes to yardage. So I've got Mac Jones for 196. He's one of the lower projected guys. And even at 196, that's more than 178.5. So he's out. Jalen Hurts I have projected for 185. So he could be in play for an under. So what do you guys think about this? Tom Brady over 265.5. Jalen Hurts under 187.5. I got Hurts projected to go under, according to the Blitz, 187.5 passing yards. Let's just see where he's at here on Fantasy Labs. They got him at 200 on Fantasy Labs. So Fantasy Labs likes the over on Hurts at 187.5. The Blitz likes the under on Hurts and the over on Brady. Both sites like the over on Brady. Maybe those guys are in contention. Possibly. Another guy that the Blitz does not like a whole lot is Joe Burrow at 255.5. I've got him projected for 247.5. 247.5. So he would be an under according to the Blitz. But dang it, he's 273.5 on Fantasy Labs. So again, these two models not agreeing on Joe Burrow. Not agreeing on Burrow. So you could take possibly the under on Joe Burrow if you trust the Blitz more than you trust Fantasy Labs. You got to ride with one or the other. Maybe you ride the under on Joe Burrow. I know some of you were liking the over on Joe Burrow. Some of you were liking the over on Joe Burrow, but I got him projected for 247.5. So maybe he's worth a shot. Maybe you go under on Joe Burrow's passing yards, and then you take the over on Derek Carr's passing yards, because I think Derek Carr was a favorite to go over. Yeah, I got Derek Carr going over, according to the Blitz, and then I got Joe Burrow going under. So you could string those two together to unlock 15x. You don't trust the Blitz at all? Well, you should. The Blitz has made me hella money. It's not always right, but what projection site is always right? The Blitz is a very, very sharp projection model. But yeah, the Blitz liking the under on Joe Burrow at 255.5, liking the over on Carr at 240.5. They also like the under on Hurts and the over on Brady. So there's a couple options there for you. Other ones that are worth maybe considering. No. I mean, as far as passing yard prop goes, those are probably your best passing yard options. Now we can also look at pass completions, right? Those qualify for the unlock for the 15x. Let's see which quarterbacks are projected to be under their passing yard prop or passing completion prop. Well, looks like Joe Burrow's on the list once again. Joe Burrow, 23.5 completed passes. I got him projected for 21.7 completed passes. So maybe he goes over his yards but stays under his pass completions. But yeah, he's been throwing the ball a lot. This could be a more balanced approach, though, by Cincinnati, getting Joe Mixon more involved on the ground. But again, got Burrow at 21.7. That's 2 completed passes less than where he's at. Let's look at his completions here. 23.4, a slight under at 23.4. So maybe you take a shot on the under on Joe Burrow's completed passes instead of his passing yards. Like we said, it's really hard to get these 15x payouts. Really hard. I got Derek Carr on the Blitz going over 23 completed passes. I got him going over 23 completed passes on Fantasy Labs too. So both sites like Carr to go over 23 pass completions. Both sites like Joe Burrow to go under 23.5 pass completions. So that could be an option for you. Who else? Who else makes the cut here as far as maybe an under option? I got Jalen Hurts going for 16.3 completed passes. He's at 17 on PrizePicks. He's at 17.2 on Fantasy Labs, so slightly more than the 17. That's probably not going to be in play for me. Josh Allen, I got for 20.4 completed passes, 20.4 completed passes on the blitz. And then I've got Allen projected for, 23.2. So, yeah, it's going to be hard to string these together. I would say that your best bet are the ones that I've already talked about, those passing yard props. It's not going to feel comfortable going under on Joe Burrow, but it's not supposed to. It's not supposed to. You want the big fish, you want the 15x payout, you got to take some risks. It's going to be risky going under on Joe Burrow. But again, maybe you could go under on his pass completions and you go over on Derek Carr's passing yards or pass completions. Maybe you can go under on Jalen Hurts passing yards and take the over on Tom Brady's passing yards or pass completions. Jimmy G, if you want to go for the 12.5x, I think you got a better shot of going over on Jimmy G and over on Dak Prescott. You've probably got a pretty good shot at going over on Kyler Murray and Matt Stafford, or Ben Roethlisberger over passing yards. We talked about him, and maybe Pat Mahomes. So those are some options. Good luck to you, Latoria. Whatever it is you tried to string together to unlock that 15x, man. Whatever it is. Yeah, Burrow has been killing his passing yards. Caleb, you are absolutely right. Burrow's been on fire. Like I said, not feeling super comfortable, but you want the 15x payout. You want to chase it, right? You're going to have to do some things that don't feel comfortable. You're going to get a little dirty along the way trying to get the 15x payout. Yeah, you could also look at rushing yard props like Latoria is talking about. Maybe Mac Jones over rushing yards and Jared Allen under passing yards. You can do different combinations. It doesn't have to be the same single stat prop for the two quarterbacks from the same game, okay? Alexander says, are you going to post your picks in the Patreon? Just signed up. I haven't posted anything for NFL in a long time. Usually I do like an open format like this where we're just talking in Discord. So, I mean, I think like if you've been paying attention, taking notes, playing along with me here, you can kind of see what plays I would like. There's no secrets here. In other words, what I'm saying, the plays that I said look like the best plays according to the numbers would be the plays that I pick, but I don't have anything locked in yet for NFL. So I don't know. Saturdays and Sundays for me, guys, I'm typically like trying to zone out from all things DFS, PrizePicks, YouTube. This is a special event here, though. It's NFL Wildcard Weekend, okay? Not going to do an NBA video today, Cryptic, unfortunately. Just NFL. Like David's saying, you can get a 4X by simply taking a 2-pick QB power with an over and an under from the same game. For sure. For sure. Just going through some of your other comments. Shane, you're talking about some Darren Waller receiving yards. We have not talked about the baller, Darren freaking Waller. 56.5 receiving yards. He did not pop off to me. We didn't talk really any tight end receiving yards, but he did not seem to pop off in terms of the projection models. But let's go take a look at Darren Waller real quick. And I'll give you an idea of kind of which way you should be going here on his 56.5 receiving yards. 56.5 receiving yards. I got him projected to go over on the blitz. 65, we'll call it. About 65 receiving yards. We'll head on over here to Fantasy Labs. Type in Waller's name. Got him 57.8. So both sites like him to go over. We're seeing him as high as 60.5, 62.5 on some other sites to go to compare to PrizePicks, rather. 56.5 on PrizePicks, 60.5, 62.5 on some other sites. So I think Waller could definitely be in play. Let's just go to the tight end position. Toggle per game stats, and then you go to the receiving yards allowed by the Cincinnati Bengals, 2 tight ends this season, 63.7, which is the 5th most. So I think Waller is definitely in play for an over. Hopefully that helps you out a little bit. Sus Gonzalez, is Derek Carr going over 4.5 rushing yards? Oh boy. See, now you guys are talking crazy. Now you guys are getting into those wild and hairy type of props. Quarterback rushing props. Do we love them or hate them? When it's a quarterback that's not known for running, they can be kind of frustrating to play. You're asking about Derek Carr? I'll tell you what I got him projected for. Let's see where he's at on PrizePicks. 4.5 on PrizePicks. Got him projected for 5.2 rushing yards. Not a super good edge here. That's what I'm saying. It's like boom or bust. It's a boom or bust style of prop. Carr projected for 7 rushing yards over on Fantasy Labs. We'll go over here to the quarterback position. Toggle per game stats. And then we'll go to rushing yards allowed by defenses, and we'll find the Cincinnati Bengals. They are giving up, well, dang, where are they? Oh, they're there. They're giving up about 14, 15 rushing yards per game to opposing quarterbacks. If you want to take a shot on it, I mean, go for it. Knock yourself out. These quarterback rushing yard props can be absolutely crazy, though. Camden, yelling it from the rooftops here. Josh Allen over rushing yards and Mac Jones under on passing yards. That's your favorite way, your favorite path to 15x. Mac Jones under on passing yards. Mac Jones under on passing yards. Let's see what did I have Mac Jones going for? Let's take a look. I had Mac Jones going for 196 passing yards. So that's more than 178. More than 178. And then I have Mac Jones going for 196.5. So you're going under on Mac Jones passing yards. You got some big cojones, my friend. You got some big cojones, my friend. Let's see. What else are you guys talking about here? Mac Jones over 0.5 interceptions. We haven't talked about any interceptions. That could be a good way to go with Mac Jones. Let's go to INTs. Mac Jones. Who? Mac Jones. Mac Jones. I got Mac Jones projected for 1.2 interceptions. Where's he at? 0.5? Damn. Yeah. Slap the over on Mac Jones at 0.5 interceptions. I think that's a good look. Trader Boggs dropping a good look. A good look. Renfro over receptions. Yeah, we talked about him briefly. Like, he's been pretty solid throughout the course of the season. Pretty solid. 5.5 receptions. Didn't really see anything that stood out to me on him in terms of his receptions and his receiving props. But let's take a look at him real quick. I got Hunter Renfrow going for 5.2 receptions. So closer to 5 than 6. So that's what I'm saying. I never really find a lot of value in these receptions. But if you feel some type of way about it, snatch it up. Snatch it up. First half is better. You're talking about first half NFL? Now that's something that I don't think I've ever played is first half NFL. What do you like better about first half NFL, Charlton? Let me know. Let me know. Who? Mac Jones. Desmond, you're liking Tyler Boyd over his receiving yards. Tyler Boyd, haven't really talked about him. Why am I going to NBA? Why am I going to NBA? It's calling me, folks. NBA wants me back. It doesn't like me being over here in the NFL land. Tyler Boyd, 39.5. 39.5 is his number for receiving yards. Let's go take a look at Tyler Boyd here. We got him at 40.5, 41.5 on some other sites. Projected for 40.5. So not seeing a super great edge on Tyler Boyd. Carr under passing touchdowns. Agent Vulture. You're liking some Derek Carr under 1.5 passing touchdowns. Is that his line? Let's just make sure. He's at 1.5. He's only covered this once. And that was last week against the Chargers. So you're betting against my man DC, Derek Carr. Let's take a look. Touchdown passes for Carr. I've got him projected for about 1.5. Not seeing a super strong edge. 1.58 to be exact. So I guess a slight lean on the over. Some of those first half passing yards are great because they try to stick with the game plan until they start losing. I see what you're saying. Okay. So you could still unlock the 15x or 12.5x taking first half only props, or is it just full game props? That is a question that maybe I can answer here. So if we wanted to go Burrow over, Carr under, no, you still get well, no, I don't know. I don't know if you still get the payout. And if I wanted to like dabble in some NBA here, just, I don't know, take some overs, you would get a 10x payout on this. So no, it doesn't look like it applies to first half. Unless I'm doing something wrong. One has to be a full game prop. Gotcha. So I could take the under on Carr first half, and then I could go back to NFL, take Burrow over full game, and I would get 15x? Yes. Okay. Gotcha. Tyler, I think we were liking some Josh Jacobs over rushing yards, at least from what I saw. I think Josh Jacobs' rushing yards looked pretty good. Look at you guys, you trying to dip in the NBA over here on this NFL stream. How dare you? But maybe. Anthony Simons, maybe. Haven't looked at any NBA yet, so I have no idea. Folks, I'm going to get out of here. We're looking at an hour and a half runtime. I appreciate everybody joining me for this NFL stream. If you have not liked this stream yet, please do so on your way out. I appreciate it. Every single like, every single one of you who has subscribed, who watches, who shares. Let's keep this thing going and growing. Share this live stream with a friend. All right? We'll catch you in the next one, which will probably be Monday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern time. Back to talking some NBA, okay? Good luck out there if you're playing some NFL today. We'll see you then. Peace.